This is the story of new love found, love lost, and love rekindled. This is the story of a man and a seal. I titled this story, The Story of a Man and a Seal. With that said, let's get to it. This anecdote is brought to you by the letter S for seal. One winter's day, I had the afternoon off. I was on the ambulance then, and I was working out of Elmhurst. Those of you who know the Chicago area will know that that's not too far away from the Brookfield Zoo. So I had a wild thought that I would go to the Brookfield Zoo with a little snow on the ground and see what was going on. It was about 30 degrees, definitely below freezing. So once I paid my monies and got inside, I walked around through the indoor enclosures first and saw the warm weather animals hanging out in their enclosures, looking a bit unhappy, nonplussed at least, but they were warm, so it wasn't too bad for them. But the animals who were normally in enclosures during the warm weather, that was an entirely different story. So the penguins, the polar bears, the seals, things like that, out in numbers and having a ball. I loved it. Hung out around the polar bear enclosure for a while, watching them climb up on top of their little fake glacier, jump off into the water, swim around a bit, then climb up and do it all over again. Just having a bunch of fun. Good for them. The penguins, same thing. Diving into the water off their little fake cliff, climbing up the incline that wrapped around to the side and then came up back to the middle top. Just like you see in the movies. And dive right in again. It was terrific. But the best part was the seal. I happened to walk by the seal pool, and once I got close to it, I saw an enclosure that looked like a three-sided phone booth made out of plexiglass, kind of welded on to the side of the pool enclosure where I was closest to. So I stepped up to it, and boom, there's a seal staring at me, floating in the tank. Wow, that was easy. And so I waved at the seal, right hand, back and forth wave. The seal started spinning around to the right as many times as I'd waved my hand. Holy shit. So I did it to the left 3 times. The seal spun 3 times to the left, just doing what I told it to do. I couldn't believe it. So we started this whole little dance routine. I would move my hand or move my hands. It depended on the maneuver. It would backflip, it would front flip, it would jump up and then curl over to one side before it landed, and it'd do the same thing to the other side. I honestly can't think of the things we did together. It just was so much fun. It was natural. It flowed. That seal made me feel like the most important person in the world because we could communicate. And I didn't know anyone else in my circle of friends who could fucking communicate with a seal. Gotcha. So I left the enclosure. I was basically tired. I'd been waving my arms around for I don't know how long. The seal was fine. It had a wonderful time. I wish I'd had a fish to throw to it. Anyway, I'm walking out and I meet a docent. And I say to him, that seal back there, I can talk to it with my hands. And he says, oh, yeah, that's Charlie. He does that all the time. You mean with other people? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a huge show-off. He just gets out there and performs for everybody. It's hilarious. Okay. Thank you. And I walk away. As I'm walking out to the car, I'm thinking, that whore. That fucking whore. It was our time together. It was what we were doing together. And I find out that Charlie just gives it away. No loyalty whatsoever. Son of a bitch. So I get to the car and drive back to the shop. And all day I'm telling people about this crazy seal at Brookfield and how much fun we had and how it would do anything I told it to do. And they all laughed. Some not believing me, but I believed. I believed that Charlie broke my heart. And then, over time, I grew up. And now I look back on that very fondly. Charlie was doing what Charlie does. He plays. He enjoys that. And he learned how to enjoy that with as many people as possible. Who am I to get upset because Charlie wants to do what he was doing with me with someone else when I'm not there? Fuck me. My ego is not in play here. It doesn't matter to Charlie. Charlie is having fun. Charlie is stuck in a fucking zoo. Charlie can have fun whenever he fucking can. So, my apologies to Charlie. A tragic love story, no? I called that seal every name in the book, only to realize it was I who was the broken one. It was I who was at fault. I realize now that I was seal shaming, and seal shaming is wrong. It should not be tolerated in any segment of society. I suggest we all fight against it as hard and as long as we can. Well, that wraps up another Anecdote Thursday. I very much appreciate your stopping by. I hope it was worth your while. Please feel free to tell your friends about this, share and like all that e-begging jazz. That will help this series grow and become more and more popular. I'd love to see it get up there in the algorithm a little bit higher, draw some people in, show them the channel. Until next time, be well, and as always, thank you for your attention.